Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. The Havilland Vampire was the second jet fighter to enter service with the RAF. Just like Gloster Meteor, its development started during World War II, but unlike the Meteor, Vampire service began after the war ended. It nevertheless saw combat in some colonial interventions, but also in the 1956 Suez Crisis, fighting on the Egyptian side. Already in mid-1950s it was obsolescent, but a decade later it was completely outdated. It was the first jet fighter operated by the Indian Air Force, and in 1965 this service still had at least 6 squadrons of Vampires. They were completely outclassed by Pakistani Sabres, and they couldn't even intercept Canberras, so they were only useful as ground support aircraft. The open hostilities between India and Pakistan began on 1st of September 1965. Pakistan launched a ground offensive towards the city of Champ in the disputed region of Kashmir. About 70 tanks and 2 brigades of infantry were engaged, preceded by heavy artillery attacks. Indian unit facing the attack soon requested air support as their own artillery was neutralized. The request needed the approval of the defense minister, and that took 5 hours. The first unit scheduled to take off from Pathankot airfield and provide air support was No. 45 Squadron, equipped with Vampires. 12 Vampires were assigned to the task, divided into 3 flights taking off between 5:15 and 5:45 p.m. The Vampires were to be followed by 16 Mystères. No one seems to know exactly why the most outdated aircraft was selected to go first. French-built Mystères were still inferior to Sabres in a dogfight, but their chances were much higher. The first flight was led by squadron leader Sudesh Kumar Dahar, the 45 Squadron CO. As the Vampires were flying northwest with low sun in their eyes, they located the enemy positions and made strafing in rocket passes. But the enemy positions turned out to be friendly. Realizing their mistake, they stopped their attack and focused on Pakistani positions. The effectiveness and the exact number of destroyed ground assets on both sides are controversial, but more on that later. The Vampires also faced heavy anti-aircraft fire, and one aircraft flown by Flight Lieutenant Patak was hit. He managed to bail out after taking his Vampire to safe height. The second Vampire flight, led by squadron leader Bagbagar, then appeared on the scene. But they were not alone. A flight of 2 Pakistani Sabres was vectored to the area by ground control. Squadron leader Sarfaraz Ahmed Rafiki of No. 5 and Flight Lieutenant Imtiaz Bhatti of No. 15 Squadron were flying at 20,000 feet when radar controller informed them of Indian aircraft presence. They descended rapidly and searched for enemy aircraft. Flight Lieutenant Bhatti spotted 2 of them about 3,000 feet below and informed his leader. Rafiki acknowledged and informed Bhatti he would go after them. As Bhatti was covering Rafiki's tail, he spotted 2 Canberras at 9 o'clock. This was a misidentification as no Canberras were present in the area. These were Vampires from the first flight on their way out. But he also spotted 2 Vampires trying to get behind his leader. He positioned himself behind the second pair of Vampires, but couldn't shoot because the lead Sabre was potentially in his line of fire. The Pakistani leader was successful in shooting down the first of the 2 Vampires in the front. Bati warned him to break left, but he proceeded to attack the second vampire as well. Only after shooting it down, Rafiki reacted to Bati's warning and broke left. Bati fired and shot down the first vampire. He immediately attacked the second one as well. Pakistani pilots were each credited with shooting down 2 vampires. Indian side admits losing 4 vampires, but claims that only 3 were shot down by Sabres, while the 4th, flown by Flight Lieutenant Pathak, was shot down by AAA, as already mentioned. The 4th pilot from the 2nd formation, Flight Lieutenant Sondi, managed to escape and return to Pathankot. 3 pilots from the 2nd flight, Squadron Leader Bagwagar, Flight Lieutenant Joshi, and Flight Lieutenant Satish Bharadwaj were killed. The 3rd and 4th flight of vampires, followed by Mysterious, arrived at the scene and attacked Pakistani tanks and other targets without even realizing what had happened minutes before. The exact number of Pakistani assets claimed destroyed by the Indian Air Force is 13 tanks, 2 guns, and 62 soft-skinned vehicles. However, this was never confirmed by the Indian Army. In fact, some army officers claimed that Indian aircraft destroyed 3 friendly AMX-13 tanks and several truckloads of ammunition. They also say that some Pakistani tanks already destroyed by the army were attacked and claimed destroyed by the Air Force. Despite the dubious effectiveness, the Vampire and Mystere intervention still played a big part in preventing a major Pakistani breakthrough that day. Pakistani wingman's account clearly indicates that the Indian Vampire pilots attempted to fight the attackers, despite being badly outclassed. After the first day of the war, Indian Air Force realized that their fleet of Vampires, and also Uragans, was way too outdated to be effective, and their further sorties were cancelled. They did fly some more combat missions in the Eastern Front though. This was the opening aerial battle of the 1965 Indo-Pakistani War, and I hope you enjoyed the video. There's one more thing I'd like to discuss. Trustmaster is giving me a commission for every purchase in their web shop to which my creator code is applied. I've decided to give away the commission to you, the viewers. You can't get the discount directly in the web shop, but if you contact me, I will pay you the commission amount to your PayPal account. It's mostly between 3 and 7%. Feel free to ask for a specific product, whether it's for flight sims or other. Thank you for your time and keep watching Showtime 112.